Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And I have seen a number of people in comments and on stream asking, how does Benimaru stack up next to the other protectors that stack, right? Because Benimaru's 100% Pierce power buff is static, and you get 100% on turn 8. It is better than only getting 9 stacks because you're still getting 100%, but it's worse than if you get like 11 stacks and you're only still getting 100%. And people want to know this is some science, and you know what, I like doing science, so we're here for some goddamn science. So today we're going to be using Benimaru and using a very generic team in a very generic setting, trying to get roughly the same values as possible and seeing what his damage output is like compared to the other pretty generic stacking protectors like Renard, like Konosuba Rimuru, Fount of Wisdom Diablo, and then a few others, right? We do these all the time when a new stacking protector comes out just to see how well he does. And I think he's going to do pretty well. It's just that being so heavily Pierce focused does take him out of the running for a number of stages, either in the past or in the future, that you just simply don't want to Pierce on. Because that's his whole shtick, is piercing, and if they don't want you to pierce, he's not going to be very useful. But in stages that you can, we're going to look pretty good. So let's build the teams, let's find a stage, and we can get started with these damage clips. Okay, so we're going to go into EX5 Tempered Edge Veldora. He's got a bunch of HP. This is a stage that you're meant to use Pierce on. And we're going to run this team, the same team throughout, and we'll just swap out the protectors. We've got Guy, he's only here for orb changing. Like, I just want to see what Blanc can do, with type advantage, super weak point, with the Pierce buff from Raphael. So, in order to keep this fair, we will be using the Pierce, but will not be putting on the ult resistance down. So we're going to, apply the Pierce on Blanc early, and then we'll send her away. And that way, all we get is the EX ult from Blanc, the guaranteed Pierce, and then whatever buff that the Protector happens to be stacking. That way, we can keep it fair. Everyone's going to have Pierce. That way, we can activate the Pierce power from Benimaru, so we can see how how he fares versus all the other Protectors. And this Coleus Lumi is going to be giving guaranteed synergy and with stacking attack on Blanc, so this will work. Diablo will work. We might have some variances of stats between, my different levels of protectors and all that, but the main core team will remain the same. Orb changer, orb changer, orb changer, buffer, nuker. And so we're just going to cut into the nuke turn of each one and just mark down how much damage we do. We do have a barrier stone up that is an extra attack buff that we will have to keep in mind, but it's for everything, so it should be still pretty fair across the board. Mostly. But, let's jump in and let's do some science. Okay, we are back for the first test. This will be the 9th stack of Lumi, so I guess we're going to just stay at 9 stacks throughout the entirety of the test. So, 9 stacks. We already have the Pierce rate applied from Raphael. No other buff besides, the synergy that's coming off of Lumi. No debuffs on Veldora. And let's get a good baseline on, her team, quote-unquote, right? So Blanc here is going to do 174. Okay, that's, probably pretty good damage. I'll get the exact number and I'll write it down, but let's, move on to the next protector. Alright, we are back. We've switched over to Konosuba Rimuru, who instead of stacking attack and giving synergy rate like Lumi, he is doing 20% ult damage per stack. We are currently at 160. We need one more to get him up to that 9 stack, same level. We do have the Pierce already applied to Blanc. However, because of the trait from Rimuru, Veldora does have a defense down debuff. 8%, honestly, does not mean, even 50% really doesn't mean a whole bunch of crap in this game, but it is something that we do have to account for because it's going to increase the damage even ever so slightly. So with this, previously we did 174,688 with Coleus Lumi, so let's see where we stack up now. And we do 147 and change. Okay. Well, that's much less, even with the debuff, as, you know, kind of expected. Synergy plus the attack stacks, we're doing two separate things right there. So, I mean, Konosuba Rimuru is only doing 20% alt damage, which, I mean, is impactful, but it needs to be helped out by other buffs before the alt buff becomes truly good. But let's come back with the next run. Alright, we are back now using Fount of Wisdom Diablo. 9 stacks is 135% alt resistance down. So, looking at, we've got Lumi 174.6, Kono Rimuru 147 with the 8% defense down. What is Diablo going to do for us today? He's going to hit 147. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, alt resistance down and alt damage up are pretty equivalent, if not the same. So, while we did have more from Kono Rimuru, I think just the stats, because we're getting Fount of Wisdom stat buff for Blanc, means a little bit more than just Konosuba Rimuru just stacking alt damage. So, okay, well, we'll get the numbers and we'll put it down. Alright, back using Renard. We need one more stack to get him to 9. So he is stacking Weakness, Strike, and Alt Resistance down. So we've got 9 stacks of that. This should be probably harder, much harder than what Lumi hit for us at 174. Diablo 147.8, Kono Rimuru 147. This should be, you know, somewhere around the 180s, I would think, if Renard is, you know, as usable as I think he is. But, you know, let's find out. Ah, boy. 165. Oh, that's much worse. Oh, dear. Really? That's actually kind of shocking. You know, Blanc has had all the stacks on her, right? Weakness strike 108%. Let me do quick calculation here. Yeah, that's 9 stacks. Because he's doing it 12% each. Wow, Renard. My opinion of you drops every day. All right, well, let's bring BENIMARU now, because the other test is bringing Shuna, but to activate all of Shuna's power, we need to use the stun as well. So, all right, well, hold on. All right, so here is the important test. BENIMARU. We have currently 8 stacks. We need one more of him, but we are on turn 8, which means that we are now getting the 100% Pierce power, and we have the Pierce rate from Raphael applied, so this is going to do much more damage. And that poor little Renard. What a guy. Alright, this is gonna do 234k. Alright, yeah, much higher. However, the caveat is that you do need someone to apply Pierce rate. So if you don't have anyone that does that, you're not going to benefit off of the 100% Pierce power from BENIMARU. And if you're in a stage that doesn't want you to Pierce because they have, you know, a butt ton of Pierce resistance, he's not going to be that great of a choice. But the fact that, you know, he's doing 234k and the next one up is doing 174 does show you that the amount of power that Beni can give by himself is pretty good. Because remember, everybody had, you know, minus Shuna that we haven't done yet, has the Pierce rate, and this is just raw damage that we're coming off the Protector with. So he's good, and he'll make you do good damage, because you multiply this by all the other buffs that we could potentially use on this team. You know, alt, magic, the alt resistance down that, you know, Raphael can do, and our numbers could go shooting through the roof. But, you know, as a baseline, this is the most fair, while having, you know, small variances of stats between Protector buffs and, you know, just who's doing what and what levels they are. I mean, this is as fair as we're gonna get. So let's try with light Protector Shuna. We do have to use the stun as well for Raphael on that turn, but I mean, it's fine because it doesn't do anything else for Blanc. So that'll be the final part of this test. Okay, last part of the test, we switched it up, so we're running Protector Shuna, which means that we need to now stun as well as Pierce. So we had to take Lumi out of the support slot and bring her into the front line. So the stats might look a little bit different. I think Blanc has a little bit more attack because there's another light character that's giving her stats. But the formulas remain the same, still 9 stacks. We need to lower Veldora's stun resistance by using the Lumi buff, which is also a light buff, which means Blanc cannot be up front for that. So there's a stun evasion down. Alright, let's bring Blanc in for Violet. And then she already has the Pierce. We now need to stun Veldora. He does have a stun strike, but none of these forces are attached to Blanc, so we don't need to worry about that. So all we're doing is we are getting the stun, plus the stun strike, plus the Pierce power that we've been stacking. We need one more stack, so perfect. So technically, we're 90% Pierce power versus Benimaru's 100, but we also have the 90% stun strike versus the, 90% alt damage that Benimaru would be giving. So it's kind of an offset, but let's see how much of an offset it ends up being. This is what we're looking like right now. So Beni 234, 174, 165, 147, 147022. So does Shuna come in right here, or does she go above Benimaru? Let's find out. 191. Oh, that's quite a bit less. Okay, quite a bit less. Alright, so here are the final numbers. Konosuba Rimuru down at the very bottom, even with a little bit of extra trait helping him out. Benimaru on top, 234. Shuna 191,967. So the stun strike and the pierce power, not enough to offset the alt buff and the extra 10% pierce power that we're getting from Benimaru. Shuna, she needs quite a bit of setup. You need to be able to pierce, you need to be able to stun. So that already locks in at least 2 characters. One, technically, if you're just going to run Raphael and you don't need to do the stun resistance down first. Benimaru, clearly the top contender in stages that you can pierce, right? And bring a unit to guarantee that you're going to get pierce rate. Lumi, being, generically stacking attack on, Visions of Coleus and I think Octagram Demon Lord. I mean, these are... Well, VOC isn't a big team, but Octagram Demon Lord continues to get buffs almost like every other meta. Renard is going to be your best generic one, because all he's doing is stacking Weakness Strike and Alt Resistance down. 2 things that any unit can take advantage of as long as your type advantage, which hopefully your nuker is. Diablo comes in second, and then closely followed by Konosuba Rimuru. I would give them about the same kind of values, though, because Diablo was giving Blanc extra stats, because Blanc is on Fount of Wisdom to begin with. So I would consider these two pretty equal nowadays. It's just that Diablo's, 30 points a stack is much less impactful than Konosuba Rimuru's 40 points a stack that you're getting on your skill cap increase. So that makes Konosuba Rimuru probably better than Diablo, as we have known that for a while. But Benimaru, yep. There we go, 234. I mean, there are a few other stacking protectors we could have tested, like Primal Demon Violet, but she would have just been Lumi, but worse, because she's still stacking 12% attack. We could have done Overlord Rimuru, right? 9 stacks of the element buff, but he's a green focus protector, and that stage just does not like green orbs, so I didn't really want to deal with that. We could have done Maribel, but I don't want to use Maribel. I'm sorry. She's awful. So, yeah. I mean, there are a few others that we could have, but I don't think it's really necessary. The fact of the matter is that in stages where you can do it, Benimaru will be king, and stages where you can't pierce, probably Renard is going to be best, until we get, next month's goddamn stacking protector, because we've gotten 3 blue metas in a row. Alright, well, hopefully this science test quenched your thirst, and hopefully you learned something from it. I don't know if you did, but oh well. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.